Our trio snuggle cuddle session broke me. Throwaway, even though I'm absolutely certain my husband would figure out it's about us if he ever came across this post. Also, before I get started, I am not interested in leaving my marriage. Our relationship is otherwise loving, respectful, kind, and balanced. Now to the story. This turned into a long diary-like post. My apologies for the length. Me, F35, and my husband, M37, have been married for 16 years. We had a snuggle cuddle with someone else involved. 2 times actually with the same person. I set it up. It's always been a fantasy of his, and although I was on the fence, there were things I wanted to explore, too. We lost our V cards to each other, so our outside experience was very limited. I went on my first solo vacation earlier this year. I don't know if it was the whole absence make the heart grow fonder or what, but my husband and I were like thirsty teenagers again when I got back. That's when the whole trio session thing really took off. I set up the dating apps. I wrote what we were looking for. I initiated all conversations. Once I confirmed our match was 100% on board, he joined the chat. He let me lead because, in his words, he was happy either way. I've always been bi-curious, and he's fantasized about this before. Seemed like the only way to flesh it out at the time. We met a few women in person. Our approach was conservative: talk, go on a date, go from there. Everyone was great about discussing boundaries, and I felt safe. We chose one woman, because I didn't want to manage multiple external partners. The first encounter was great, mostly for them. There was equal attention between all parties, but I was extremely nervous and uncomfortable. Nothing felt enjoyable to me, but they both came, and my husband and I went home. He was very affectionate and encouraging. I chalked my discomfort up to first-time jitters. The second encounter was 2 rounds. The initial date was amazing. Dinner, sightseeing, drinks, great conversation. I legitimately like her. Round 1, I was more open. But still nervous. I realized then that I wanted to experience a woman on my own, not with an audience, my husband. I felt awkward and inexperienced and embarrassed. They again got along well. Great chemistry. He finished in me, and she and I took a shower together. If the night had stopped here, everything would have been fine. Round 2 is what broke me. It was late. We were all staying in the hotel this time. The 3 of us, in a king-size bed. I didn't want to sleep next to her, so my husband was in the middle. At some point, when I was mostly asleep, I could tell they were messing around, just the 2 of them. I froze. This was a boundary that he knew about, but I didn't discuss with her because I trusted him. I don't want to wake up to you 2 messing around. He asked my permission to get the green light to go ahead. I should have said anything other than sure, but I was legitimately frozen. I don't know how else to describe it. Couldn't move, couldn't speak. Paralyzed by something, I still don't know what. I was lying on my stomach at the edge of the bed while they went at it. I could see their shadows on the wall. I heard everything. She said I was a lucky woman as she came a 3rd time, something I've never been able to do. He finished. It made me sick. Right there. I finally got my senses back and ran to the bathroom and was sick. She offered to leave. I'm sure it was awkward, but I asked her to stay. We gave her a ride home in the morning. Hugged goodbye. On the ride back home, my husband and I talked. He made a comment about how the second round was good for his ego. He's lucky if I come at all, let alone multiple times. I sobbed for hours after we got home. I don't know why it hurt so much. My husband was gentle and kind to me after. Apologized repeatedly for violating the boundary, and for the ego comment. It broke me deeply, but I felt there was nothing to forgive. I set myself up for this. She ended things a couple weeks later. She said I wasn't ready, and she's right. It's been about 4 months since the incident I call round 2. I cannot let it go. How can I measure up to that? How can he be satisfied with me anymore? He has reassured me whenever I've brought it up. Which was only a couple times, because I don't want to burden him with this. It messed me up to the point where I have almost no libido, and I'm numb when we have intimacy. I miss our old life. How do I move on from this experience? Update 1. He does seem genuinely remorseful. He apologized again, but doesn't know how to make it right. I'm not entirely sure, either. I did say he needs to seek me out more. A lot of the affection in our relationship is one-sided, I seek him for hugs, hand-holding, quality time, etc. He reciprocates but rarely initiates. What I'd really like to hear is, I cheated. I want him to own it full on. I gave him about 15 minutes to read the post and top comments, and asked if he noticed a theme. Crazy how it took a boatload of internet strangers to help confirm what I knew, but couldn't admit. But I still don't think he grasps the gravity of it. Today is a little different. This was all over text. He threw the shower thing back in my face, even though there are texts well beforehand saying he was okay with her, and I having some alone time, as long as he was in the room. And he also watched. He also reminded me that I said okay when he asked permission. I saw read and sent a barrage of angry messages. No name calling. Just a lot of F-bombs about violated boundaries, lack of awareness, and overall selfishness. He hasn't replied yet. I'm not innocent in this. I really, truly acknowledge that. And like I said, if we had ended the evening after round 1 in the shower, I'd still be completely interested in more sessions. But I saw the side of him that couldn't give two shits about me when he has something to gain, all while I'm in an incredibly vulnerable place, a place where he should encourage, protect, and advocate. So hell no, not giving him that opportunity again. I know my marriage will never be the same. Maybe in the long run, that's a good thing. Update 2. I deleted my original post, but I'm sure it lives on somewhere. Long story short, I came to Reddit 2 weeks ago to hash out some feelings I had following our second trio session. My husband broke a boundary by having intimacy with the other woman while I was sleeping. It felt like infidelity right in front of my face. Thousands of people reacted to the post, most stating that his actions were cheating. Another large portion believed I gave consent because my husband asked my permission and I froze and did not say no. Many people called me stupid. I can understand all perspectives. I agree, it was cheating. You don't ask to change a boundary in the act of breaking it. He understands that now. Hindsight is 20/20. While I disagree with him believing he had consent, I forgive him. He has since genuinely apologized and is remorseful. I agree that this was stupid for us to do and that neither of us was ready for something like that. I lack a spine, and he lacks impulse control. In my original post, I said our marriage was otherwise good. I really truly mean that. We are not perfect, but our relationship was respectful, kind, loving, and balanced. I spoke with a marriage counselor and I explained how I feel traumatized, how my body doesn't respond to my husband since that night, and how I desperately want to stay and leave at the same time. I started looking at apartments and embraced the thought of having space to heal, but my heart was breaking, too. In a nutshell, the counselor said leaving is the easy thing to do. She didn't blame me for wanting to walk away. The pain is real and living like this is hard. The harder thing would be to stay and work to repair the damage and rebuild the trust that we had for so many years. I'm going to lose a ton of karma for saying this. But I choose to stay and rebuild. My marriage is worth saving, and my opinion matters more than the words of strangers. I will continue individual therapy, and we will see a marriage counselor. No more trio snuggles, what a crap show.